Hi everyone, I'm David Griffin.
And I'm Michael Medina.
And we're to bring you Arrow Season 2 finale review, Season 2, Episode 23, Unthinkable.
Can you believe we made it?
It's unthinkable that
We
this is going to be our last review for quite some time.
Yeah.
Probably till October, I'm guessing, of next year. It's sad.
Yeah.
Arrow is finished. It's come to a conclusion for now, for this season. And I think it went out in style. I'm going to go ahead and start off by saying I think it went out in style. I think it did what any good finale should do. Didn't leave you like, oh, like any huge cliffhangers.
But it still kind of wrapped up the overall story being told this season.
Right. So I thought it was good. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to dive into. There's some stuff. It was a good episode. It was a really good episode. You know, there's always some little quirks here and there, but overall, I think Mike and I both really enjoyed it. Had fun watching. Had fun talking about it while we were watching it. So first impressions, Mike, what did you think about it?
Again, just like what you said, I thought they did a really good job in, you know, wrapping up this story, but like, you know, giving you a glimpse to like what season 3 is going to be about. Right. Overall, a lot happened. It's just like last week, I guess. It's like, where do you start with an episode like this?
I know where to start. Let's start talking about, I can't say everybody. It's maybe 3 or 4 commenters were like, David, I can't believe that you fell for that whole gimmick when Thea was shooting. You know there was a guy behind him. Oh, I don't think there was somebody behind him.
I didn't see anyone behind him.
I didn't see anybody behind him. And who did she shoot?
She
shot Merlyn. She shot Malcolm Merlyn.
Imagine that. He had a little something like, oh, Kevlar.
He had Kevlar, you know. So I think I was right. I'm not always right, you know. I do make mistakes.
But enjoy
I make a lot of mistakes.
It.
But I'm going to enjoy this victory. I knew that she shot. No, I didn't know that for sure. But that was a good scene. I actually, of all the people, well, let's call them weaker characters.
Okay.
When I may say weaker characters, I mean Laurel, who's struggling. Everybody's in the comments is asking for her to be killed off. But let's give Laurel a chance for next season. Thea, I think her arc hasn't been the strongest, but you know, from the beginning to the end, I actually liked her. I thought maybe her story out of Laurel's has the most potential for next year.
Yeah.
Her going off with Malcolm at the end was interesting. I don't know what that's going to happen.
Yeah, it was definitely more interesting than Laurel's overall.
Yes.
It's kind of like last week too when I mentioned that, you know, maybe we might see the two of them hook up somehow.
Yeah.
You know, maybe he might like take her under his wing, and it looks like that. It's probably what's going to happen.
Like,
you know?
It was so nice at the end with her getting that limo, and he was just sitting there like, such an evil smile on his face. He's a good actor. So I'm happy to see what's going to happen to Thea. I mean, you know, what's his name? Well, I guess he could be Red Arrow now. I guess we'll get into that. But I mean, Thea could turn into something. I assume that he's going to train her. Yeah. You know, I mean, he knows he was part of the League of Assassins, so he knows some moves.
Well, and the thing is, too, I mean, she's in a real vulnerable state right now.
Yeah,
she feels like she can't trust anyone, absolutely. And when she thought she could maybe let Roy back in and stuff, and she discovered that he still had, you know, some arrows and a quiver and stuff, and she's like, no, that's it. So again, in this vulnerable state, Merlyn could maybe manipulate her, you know, and maybe turn her against Oliver, which would be kind of cool.
That's gonna be good. I mean, and then you know, you look at, I mean, man, there's so much going on in this episode. So we get in the beginning, at least towards the beginning of the episode. The League of Assassins shows up. Well, a section of the League of Assassins. Nisa's crew, her entourage, shows up with Sarah.
Let me just say, we were laughing and I love that scene when Nisa introduces herself to Felicity. She's like, you know, I'm the daughter of Ra's al Ghul, heir to the demon.
Yeah, heir to the demon.
I'm Felicity Smoke, MIT 2009. I'm sorry, that was funny.
That was a great scene.
It
was campy, but it was perfect. I mean, it worked. It was perfect, and I like that. I mean, I think Nisa, I think Christina Law is cast perfectly for this. Again, another Spartacus alum, so it's nice to see her again. We'll be obviously seeing more of her next season, which is good. But yeah, just such good banter in that scene. It's nice to see their small group of assassins helping out. You know, we talked about last week's episode about how we got to see that in the preview, all those them marching together for the big fight at the end, which was cool to see.
No, it was great. And,
all them in action.
A lot of action scenes taking place. Yeah. I mean, we should probably talk about it. I guess the first major one is when they attack Queen Industries and their office and stuff like that. Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought that fight was gonna go on a little bit longer. It was short but sweet. But man, you know, our girl Summer Glau, man, she's done.
I know. And I guess you and I are both kind of like, we didn't say it right away. We were like, I don't know if we like that because. I mean, I'll have to go on IMDb, and I'm sure you guys will do that when you're looking at this review and see. Maybe she has some projects coming up. I mean, pilot season is on its way. They could be shooting for next year already. So maybe she has something planned. She's like, no, I can't stick around. Because she was in the beginning. I really liked her character. Isabel Rochev was great. Then she was gone.
Yeah.
And every week during this, our reviews, I kept asking, where's her? Some of you got annoyed with that, but I said, you know what, I'm going to ask every single time until she comes back. And now she's gone. I feel like we didn't get a complete story with her.
And it was a nice little twist, making her Ravager and stuff. And I mean, maybe some of you guys didn't like it. I know we were pretty cool with it and stuff.
I liked it, yeah.
But again, like, I liked her as Ravager, and I would have liked to have seen a little more of her. You know, but I mean, you know, I guess it was kind of cool too, because just Nyssa basically, you know, kind of like driving it home to Oliver.
Oh, I love it.
This is what you got to do.
You got to kill people.
This is why your city is in ruins.
Right, and it's always one of those tough questions, because in comic books you have guys like Bruce. Bruce doesn't kill. You know, you have Superman, you know, doesn't kill, but I like, you know, I like a little flexibility. You know, Wally, I'm sorry, Wally. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. I keep saying Wally, getting my head of myself for the Flash. But Oliver is not the Punisher. No. He's not Frank Castle, so he's not going to just kill everybody. He does have a conscience, but I like that. I think the end was good with him, with Slade, putting Slade away, you know, on the island, which is ironic, putting them back on the island in this new max security prison that Argus has created.
Well, and that goes back to like the episode when Moira was killed, and a lot of people like, you know, I know we'd mentioned like, well, should Oliver kill again? Should he kill Slade? And I was like, basically, I thought I kind of liked that conflict, you know, because this is a guy that was a cold-blooded murderer, Oliver. You know, and
I like how Slade told him, he's like, look, I made you into what you are. I know you're a killer,
But, you know, what was cool about that is at the end, he's like, basically, you turned me into a hero because you told me that, you taught me, in a way, you know, that I could, you know, get these results without having to murder anyone. You know, and I liked seeing that struggle, you know, with Oliver. Like, you know, he's tempted, he wants to kill, but there's always, whether it be Felicity or maybe even Diggle, just kind of like, no, you know, this is the person that you're meant to be.
Oh, I forgot. We got to talk about Diggle's Papa. He's going to be a proud Papa. Where did that storyline come from?
The father.
I can't remember the actress's name. She was in The Walking Dead. She was the governor's girl for a little while in this last season of The Walking Dead. And she comes back, you know, Diggle's ex-wife. Yeah, they used to be married. Ex-wife comes in, you know, looking all hot with her outfit on and a bazooka, you know, blowing up buildings, doing what she does. And then,
by the way,
I'm here. And he's like, oh, there she is. Thanks for saving our lives, which is funny. And then Amanda Waller drops it. It's like, oh, what do you got? You know, something got brewing in there. You got a girl or boy, and it's like, congratulations. You know, and his look is just like, what? That ain't my kid. You know.
Well, it's nice to see that Diggle has been doing something, you know, off camera.
If you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. Yeah, he's doing something off camera. So that was nice to give Diggle something. Hopefully, poor Diggle will have more to do than go to Big Belly Burger every week and
impregnate women.
And impregnate women. That's a little, you know, you got to give him some more in there. So hopefully he'll have more to do. But we got to see a little bit of the Suicide Squad. Not all of them. Got to see Deadshot. And I love their relationship. Diggle and Deadshot's relationship. Like, you can give Diggle and Deadshot their own like couple episodes per season. That would be fine.
Because the whole like, you know, he wants to kill him, but it's like they kind of work well together, which is really, it makes for an interesting relationship.
It was good. I mean, and then, you know, even Amanda Waller, again, it looks like we're going to get more of her next year. Next season. We knew it was a history because there was some beef. Like when they first met, like, oh, I didn't think you'd ever see me again or something. And we know Oliver has to go back to the island, even though we see him in Hong Kong at the end of the episode. So, you know, we'll get to our theories about that at the end. But, you know, let's talk about, let's see, what else do we have? I mean, just like the big fight, the big ending, like the setup, the scene between especially Olicity fans, Oliver and Felicity.
A little tease.
We got to talk about that, a little tease.
Well, that was big. I mean, I know when we were watching, we were just like, what?
Yeah, I was like, but I was like, wait a minute, maybe.
One of those, I mean, they've been kind of teasing it since last season, really, I guess, you know. And then, but this season was when things really kind of, you know, went full steam ahead. But like, you know, obviously you could see in her face that she believed every single word of what he was saying. But I mean, it made sense in the end, and you actually called it too, because you were just like, you know, maybe he's, you know, he remembers that, you know, Slade had bugged his house, you know, and maybe this was his way to kind of.
Because he's like at the end, he's like, do you understand?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah. And I was like, wait a minute, that seemed a little, they didn't kiss or anything. And I don't know how I feel about that. I didn't like, well, I don't say I didn't like, I was just kind of, I felt bad for Felicity because at the end on the island, she was like, well, you almost made me believe what you said. And then he's like, yeah. And then he kind of like gave her a nod.
Hey, you did all right.
And then patted her and then like just kind of walked off. And he was like, that's enough for me. Like, I was like, oh, poor Felicity. Because I don't know if Felicity's going to be able to be with Wally. because Wally's got.
No, it's Barry.
I'm sorry, I keep saying Wally. I'm getting my comment. Yeah, I said Barry Allen because Iris is going to be in the Flash series. So
poor. I mean,
who's Felicity going to date?
Break. I mean,
and Diggle's going to be a papa, but maybe he can have a couple girls. I don't know what they're going to do with Diggle. He's a papa, so that's going on. And then.
And then there's Sarah, obviously coming back with Nisa,
and
we kind of see. We've been talking since the very first episode of this season about Laurel and the possibility of whether or not she'll be Black Canary or not. And then, some of you guys think maybe Sarah might get killed off, and Laurel will kind of take the mantle. I don't know. I'm on the fence. Who knows? Because I do like Sarah and as Black Canary, and that's kind of fun. But there's a little tease. I don't know if it's a little bit of foreshadowing,
the black jacket,
or if it's just a nod to fans. But yeah, she gives her the black leather jacket, and she's like, "Oh, it fits," So
my only issue with that, and I know you voiced this concern. I know some of the viewers here have voiced this concern, is that I don't know if I buy Laurel as Black Canary. She hasn't. I don't know if she's earned it.
Yeah.
But we know she knows how to fight. She has some self-defense classes. Her dad was a cop, but she wasn't trained by a League of Assassins. She wasn't trained by Deathstroke like Oliver was. So it's like, I don't know if she could be as effective. Maybe she'll learn. I mean, now that she knows who Oliver is, maybe Oliver will train her.
And that's the thing. And who knows? This could all just be like these last 2 seasons with Laurel and stuff could have just been set up for maybe her ultimately becoming. Because for her to be Black Canary, I mean, again, it's kind of like what we saw Oliver go through. He had to go through something.
Yeah.
Sarah had to go through something to become who they ultimately became. So we're gonna kind of maybe see Laurel, maybe possibly, because I mean, we saw her deal with the fact that her sister came back from the dead. She had this drug and alcohol addiction and stuff, and she's been kind of like the damsel in distress for a long time now. So it would be interesting, and I know we've been complaining for a long time about Laurel's lack of story. So maybe again, this is just set up. Maybe next year we'll see her play a bigger role. Maybe we'll see a little bit more good drama happening to Laurel. You know what I mean? To kind of build her up, and maybe she can still be, Canary. Who knows?
So with Nisa, I'd like to know, specifically from the writers, maybe even if Talia just doesn't exist in this timeline. I mean, because Nisa she keeps saying she's the heir to the demon. And we know in the comic book she's the illegitimate daughter. Of course, this is not the comic books. This is Arrow. So they pick and choose. They don't always use the same. They don't. It's not gospel necessarily. So I'd be curious to see what they're going to do with that.
I can't help but wonder, maybe because of Talia's her close connection to Bruce and that universe, that maybe they'd rather
leave that alone, which is good. That's fine, because this is going to be their own. This can be their own daughter of race. It doesn't have to be. The name doesn't really matter. She can basically embody Talia if she wants to. She looks like her. I mean, she'd be a great Talia. You were saying she'd make a great Psylocke.
Oh, I think she'd make a great
Speaking
Psylocke.
of Marvel, Marvel. So, I mean, that was all really good. I really liked her. I can't wait to see more of her. There's so many characters I want to see more of. And I guess we're starting to wrap up, starting to go towards the end here. So let's start talking about, I guess let's see where it's ended. I mean, where do we see? We see Oliver. We see the, wait. Let's talk about the fight scene. Let's talk about the fight scene, the last fight scene between Oliver and Deathstroke. I forgot. What did you think about that, the whole cutting back and forth?
When we were watching, I was like, I really loved how fluid it was. It really just seemed like one fight, but I like that it was like 2 fights, 5 years apart and stuff. And you can kind of see, and I know you were mentioning, you can kind of see like, Slade fighting with Mirakuru and without.
What's cool is Oliver beats him both times.
Yeah,
and he's a much better fighter when we see him now than he was then. He's still, even though Slade comes back to life, he keeps living, but he's a good fighter.
And it was cool in the end because you can kind of, well, first of all, you see how Slade gets his eye poked out.
Yeah, that was nice.
But then you kind of see, the difference. And again, going back to the whole conflict and killing and not killing, you see like where Oliver's mindset was at 5 years ago when he just kind of ditches the cure or whatnot and just stabs him in the eye. And then you see how he's matured.
He wasn't thinking long term.
He wasn't.
He was thinking that Slade would create this army of
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he's learned, and it was kind of cool. It was a great fight scene.
And then it's funny, we see Sarah, falls down, or I guess, gets sucked down the ship the same way she did when the
first time around
Robert Queen's yacht got down. She's like, no.
Just out of reach.
What I'm really hoping, this is one of my hopes for next season. I would love to see a flashback with her at the League of Assassins, like her meeting Nisa, them falling for each other, get a little lesbian thing going on. That's all good. Like I'd love to see her back. So I know we always get Oliver flashbacks, but since this cast is expanding, I'd love to see Sarah get a flashback for next season.
And that's the thing, like people like Slade, like Manny Bennett and Sarah, they played huge roles this season. How big of a role are they going to play next season, though? Because
like who's going to be the villain?
Exactly. I can't see Slade. I could see him maybe appearing next year, but definitely not being the focus. And I wouldn't want that anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? And with Sarah, again, like with her taking off, like it just seems like, how do you fit that in? Because she's gone. It would be a little too convenient for like 2 weeks later she's back again.
Right.
You know, I'd want her to stay away for a while.
And the thing is, you have all these players, because Malcolm Merlyn's back. He's back. So you have, and we know Ra's al Ghul is out there, and he's obviously would be the biggest villain we can probably think of, at least because this Arrow isn't going supernatural.
No.
Because the Arrow in the comic books has like guys like, you know, like Robin Hood, but I mean, you have like, you know, all these like medieval Merlyn, like the more magical creatures. This is a more kind of like Christopher Nolan outlook on the DC comic books. It's going to be more real
And I think
life.
you're right, though. I think Ra's well, again, I don't know if we'll see Ra's.
Right.
But the League of Assassins, I think, will play a bigger role. And maybe that's how we will see more Sarah, because earlier in the year when Moira kind of scares Merlyn with the whole, like, you know, Ra's al Ghul and brings up his name, obviously he has a connection to Ra's.
Yeah.
So if Merlyn, I would imagine Merlyn would probably be the main villain for next season. I'd imagine we would see some League of Assassins, which would be great.
Because Moira's out of the way.
Yeah.
And what's curious to me is we know that, I know he loves his daughter, I don't doubt that, but it's like, what is his motive? Because he had that really evil grin in the limo. Like she's all kind of like nervous and awkward. He's all like, well, I mean, you know, I just wonder what he's thinking.
Merlin's not a good guy.
No, he's not a good guy.
He's not a good father. Yeah, you know, I mean, even when after Thea shoots him, he's like, you know, you basically had something that Tommy didn't have.
Right.
You know, and I see that in you, and I want to embrace that. I want to bring that out even more. So, you know, he's not going to win Father of the Year awards anytime soon.
No.
But he's got some kind of agenda.
And Diggle and Felicity, we kind of leave them where they've always been. Felicity's confused, not sure if Oliver likes her or not. You know, poor girl.
And that's the thing. Sorry to cut you off.
But
with Felicity, I'm curious to see where's she going to go, because Diggle kind of has his own thing. I don't know.
He's got a kid on the way. You know, he's kind of in the Suicide Squad.
Kind of.
He knows he likes Deadshot.
He's got something going on. Felicity, I feel, is kind of stuck in the middle right now, and I really hope she doesn't kind of fall in that rut that like Laurel or Thea kind of.
Because you just don't want her to be the geeky girl who's good with computers the whole time. Like, it'd be nice for her to have a story.
And I can only take so much of the tease between, you know, the will they, won't they.
Oh, yeah, the romance.
You know what I mean? It gets old after a while. So it's like, you know, if you want them to get together, have them get together.
Right.
You know what I mean? But just don't continue to tease that. It gets old after a while.
It's a little old, yeah. So that'll be interesting to see what happens to them. They're where we left us. Amanda Waller. That's going to be an interesting story because we know her and Ollie have a past.
Yeah.
We're going to see what that is. And we know Oliver also goes back on the island because we see him at the beginning of season 1. He's got the beard. He looks just like Arrow, kind of like a rougher version of Arrow from the comic book. So it's going to be interesting to see what does he do in Hong Kong. Is he going to work for her? I'm assuming there's going to be a relationship. You know Oliver sleeps around. There's going to be some romance. Why does he go back to the island?
Yeah.
How many more, you know, all this. There's a lot of good stuff. This finale wrapped most of the stories up, but left it open for another one. And I'm so glad they didn't kill Manu Bennett because he's been such a good, you know, maybe,
so great.
You know, it'd be cool. All right, I guess we're kind of going on a tangent here, but we got to talk about it. There's a new Son of Batman story out right now. Well, not new. It's a new DC animated movie. It's based off Grant Morrison's classic story. In that story, Deathstroke worked for Ra's al Ghul. He was his protege, and he's angry and upset because Damian is now the heir to the throne, but Deathstroke thinks that should be him, and he's pissed and all that kind of stuff. So I wonder if this is a way, because he's stuck, could Ra's or Nyssa maybe get at him while he's in that prison and maybe use
Break him out?
Break him out, yeah.
That would be kind of cool,
That'd be kind of interesting. I don't know.
Because again, he is such a great character, but just like kind of something that I said a couple weeks back, you don't want to overuse a character like that either. You know what I mean? Because then it's just like, all right, well, it seems a little unbelievable. That's really convenient that now he gets, you know, broken out of prison or whatever. But I do like that theory, and I would like to see something like that a little, you know, down the way.
That could be interesting. So I mean, you know, that was a finale. I mean, a lot going on, a lot of things. I think we covered about everything that we could. You know, let me know if you know about the beginning there with the you know, Thea shooting, you know, Malcolm Merlyn. You know, I thought I predicted that right. I did. You know, I have to say that again. Because a few people of you guys called me out saying I fell for some ploy, which I thought I did. I was like, well, maybe I did fall for it. Maybe I am just not observant. So, no, I'm just joking. Anyway.
But, you know, real quick, just one more thing. I just want to say, overall, I remember like you and I first, you know, did a review for this.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, we got to give our before we go. We got to give our overall impressions of about the season. I'm sorry.
We talked about things we were looking forward to seeing and just like things we were excited for. And overall, though, I have to say, as a whole, this was definitely one of the best seasons of a TV show. And I'm not saying it's the greatest season in the history of TV, but it's definitely one of the best overall, well put together seasons, because we all, at the start of the season, we were talking things about like filler episodes and there being way too many episodes in the season and stuff. There were 1 or 2, but even, I know like a couple weeks back, we kind of, kind of differed on that one episode. You know, I enjoyed it. You were just like, whatever. But overall, I think they did such an amazing job telling the story. I loved season 1, and I thought they built on that beautifully in season 2. Like right from the get-go, like the first however many, like 8 episodes were just like every single episode had me like yelling at the TV, like just blown away. So I mean, I absolutely from start to finish loved this season. I loved it.
I agree. It was a great season. I can't wait. I hope that, I know it's going to be a different team, but the writers that are going to be on The Flash, I hope they can keep that energy going. I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
Because you don't want the Flash either.
No, I don't want it to copy it. Yeah, I don't want it to be the exact same thing. Because Flash should be a little bit lighter. The kid's kind of goofy. He's not like, you have failed this city. I mean, he's not going to be like that. So, you know, all good things coming, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I mean, the universe is expanding. It's getting bigger. We didn't see, what's her name, who's locked up in prison? Huntress?
Yeah, we did.
She's still there, you know, somewhere locked up. So we'll see what happens with that. More of the Suicide Squad to come. Flash is going to have his own show. It's getting good. We're going to see what happens with Wally.
Barry.
I meant to say Ollie. I think Wally, I meant Ollie. We're going to see what happens to Oliver in Hong Kong, hanging around with Argus. Argus, yeah, and all that. So that's going to be good. So as always, you know, thanks for joining us for this season. You know, there's going to be a sizzle reel at Comic-Con in the next few months, probably in July. We'll see what's going to happen.
We'll be there to review it.
We'll be there to review it. We'll give you a review of that sizzle reel when it comes up in a few months. But thank you for joining us. We appreciate all the support, all the comments, all the love. This has been a fun journey. You know, these last 23 episodes, 23 hours over a 6-month period. But it's been fun, and we enjoyed it. So as always, you can come chat with us at thinkhero.com or on this YouTube page, Think Hero Pro. All of us are on Twitter. Dennis, Michael, and myself are on Twitter here at Think Hero. I'm at GriffinDE.
And I'm at Mr. Michael Alexis.
And we also have a Facebook page. That's facebook.com/ThinkHeroFans. Be sure to like that. Like this YouTube page as well. Subscribe. Spread the word. Social media. Let us know what you thought of this wonderful season and give us your predictions. That's what we want to hear. We want to hear what you think is going to happen in Season 3 of Arrow. And until next time, do not fail your cities. And we'll see you soon.